We're talking to Denise Van with the Alzheimer's Association, as there are some new treatments that can change the course of the disease and new tools that can help detect changes in the brain years before symptoms. The Alzheimer's Association International Conference took place through August 1st, so we're a little bit past that now, Denise, but lots of findings that they found and released at the conference that basically mean Alzheimer's is a whole lot more treatable than maybe it ever has been before. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. So talk a little bit about some of these developments.
So we are in the era of treatment. Like you said, we just finished our international conference where many scientists come together to try to figure out how is the brain correlating with the body? How can we find a way to slow this disease down, to cure it, or treat the symptoms? So some of the things that they're finding out is that what they've found out is there's a drug, Ozempic, is often used for diabetes, and it also can help with heart disease, or risk of heart disease, but they're finding it can also protect the brain, which that's super exciting because in this world, a lot of people do take that med, so how great would that be? Another thing is they're talking about blood tests that are 90% accurate, which is going to cut down on the time that people have to wait for, getting their something with a neurologist or trying to do those tests. It's going to cut that down, and it's 90% accurate in identifying patients with cognitive symptoms at a primary care and specialized memory care clinic. So those are just a couple of the really cool things that I wanted to highlight that have kind of came down the pipeline.
Well, and what's interesting also is that it feels like that people are finding out more and more about the gut-brain connection and the connection between the nutritional way that we live our lives and the way that affects things like dementia and I guess if you think about it from a logical framework, a drug like Ozempic, which has also been used to as a weight loss aid for some folks too, in addition to its that's an off-label usage, in addition to its diabetic stuff, that kind of all follows together with some of these other developments about how just a generally healthy diet is going to be a whole lot better for you in terms of dementia risk, speaking forward into this.
Yeah, our motto at the association is what's good for your heart is good for your brain. A heart-healthy diet, and they talk about processed red meats may raise the risk of dementia. And people who eat 2 servings a week are those who eat less than about 3 servings a month, according to research reported for the first time at AAIC in 2024. It also showed that replacing 1 serving of processed red meat every day with 1 serving of nuts can lower the risk of dementia by 20%. So examples of processed red meat include bacon, hot dogs, and sausage. So rather than eating that kind of stuff, maybe chicken, rather than cooking with vegetable oil, we cook with olive oil. There are simple ways that we can adjust our diet to kind of make it a heart healthy, because we do say what's good for your heart is always good for your brain.
Well, and Alzheimer's is such a devastating disease to see to the end of it. Denise, my father passed from Alzheimer's here just a couple of years ago, and so we've seen the progression of the disease process. It's so nice to know that future generations aren't going to have to deal with the same level of progression that happens before you know about it, I guess would be the way to put it. That blood test is one way of finding out sooner, but always, as we've talked to folks from the Alzheimer's Association before, having that constant relationship with your doctor is important so they can see the changes early on.
Yeah, and, I've been in this field for many, many years, and just the evolution of Alzheimer's and research, Alzheimer's care and support, all of the awareness is just, it's just changed just dramatically over the past, 3 decades of me being in this field, not to show my age. But, it gives me hope, especially all the things that are happening right now with all of the era of treatment, the blood tests, finding out, the things that we can't, that we probably should do, and things that we shouldn't do. But that, like you said, that accuracy of getting that diagnosis and really staying in contact with your doctor. I know for many, many years there's a stigma around Alzheimer's and dementia, and anybody over the age of 65 does not want to talk about it. And so we've made it a point to go out and let people know you can talk about it. It's okay. We're here for you. We hope you never need us. But if you do need us, we're totally here for you to help you with care and support and resources that you might need.
We've been talking about new treatments and new tests and new ways of people finding out about Alzheimer's, because the earlier that you know that there are issues to deal with, regardless of what it is, Alzheimer's is just our example today, the sooner you can make changes to improve your life. I mean, if you were someone who has a family history of heart disease, as you alluded to heart disease earlier, you would say, well, I'm definitely not going to live my life the same way as I would if I didn't have that family history. Cancer is the same way. Alzheimer's, we don't have direct links like that, but lifestyle choices can still be made.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, there's Alzheimer's, as one of our physicians at the association says, there are a couple of genes. We have our risk gene, we have our deterministic gene. Deterministic means you carry that APO4 gene, that you're determined to get Alzheimer's. Risk gene means it runs in your family. Maybe your aunt had it, maybe your uncle had it. But as long as we are doing what's good for our heart, is good for our brain, and really trying to make those very conscious decisions based off our medical history, then there's no reason in the world that a person can't, get what they need and live a very full and happy life with this disease. Early diagnosis is always best, because whenever there's an early diagnosis, the meds that treat the symptoms can get on board, and it gives that person quality of life for a much longer period of time. So we always say early diagnosis is best.
Also, again, I'm going to reiterate it simply because people are going to be getting in and out of their car, and maybe they didn't hear me say it before, but having a relationship with a physician where you see the same doctor year after year, months after months, is so important in disease progression generally. One of the difficult parts, and I'm just speaking from personal experience with my dad, is that even though he would go to the doctor, we lived in a small town, and often we would have practitioners and providers change because they would move on from that small town to a bigger market, and then someone else would come in, and so on and so forth, and that being able to say, well, this isn't what you were like a year ago or 2 years ago, that happened quite a bit, and I know that's why you want people to say Alzheimer's is not something that you should be afraid of, but it's something that you need to pay attention to, just like anything else that you might test for as you get older.
Oh, 100%. That relationship between a patient and their doctor is very important. Our chapter serves 69 counties, so a lot of those are rural communities. And so there's not geriatricians, and there's not neurologists, and there's not neuropsychologists. And it's when the family doctors really become of the utmost importance in those smaller communities, to be able to have that relationship to say, well, I saw you a month ago, and you were, not doing all of this, but now all of a sudden you've had some cognitive decline. So yes, that I will reiterate that too. It is of the utmost importance that we stay in contact with our doctor. And here's the thing: I tell my communities all the time. In small communities, they look out for each other. So if you see something, say something. because you can give that person quality of life by just, extending your hand out like, hey, I'm seeing some stuff going on with you. What can I do to help? How can I help you? And so that is very, very important.
All right. So, Denise, we only have a couple of minutes left. I want you to give, again, the way for people to get a hold of the Alzheimer's Association, from caregivers who may need help, even just somebody to talk to 24 hours a day, to ways to get money to you guys so you can continue this research. Give all of that information if you can.
So, we have our 24/7 helpline, which is 1-800-272-3900. Somebody's there 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and they're able to answer any questions. They are the direct connection to any local chapter as well. But we also, our local chapter is the 316-267-7333, and we're located at 535 West Douglas, Wichita, Kansas, in Suite 150. So we are, we're here throughout the week, but the 24/7 helpline, there's somebody there that can answer any question you might possibly have about Alzheimer's and all related dementias.
Again, Denise Van with us from the Alzheimer's Association. Denise, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for letting us know that there's a little bit more hope now for the long-term future of those with Alzheimer's and related dementias. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.